Hi, this is Shawn Cisterna, and you're watching 10 Questions. Well, when I was in university, I went to York University and studied film and video production and screenwriting. And I recall there was a posting up on the wall. So there were all these different volunteer positions and job postings. And then I saw one to work on a kids' TV show for PBS in the summer at York University and get paid. So I saw that posting and I ripped them all down, and I was the only one who got the job from York. So I cheated my way into the industry a bit by ensuring I was the only one who got the gig from York. So that was my first foray into filmmaking. Well, I'm certainly most proud of Kiss and Cry, which it's the new film I have out right now. And I think it's because I don't know, I felt most like a director on that project. It's based on a true story, and we went to, I don't know, I'd say extreme lengths to make it as realistic as possible. So it's based on the true story of Carly Allison. And if you haven't heard of Carly, she was an up-and-coming young figure skater and singer who basically made medical history by being this by having this rare 1 in 3.5 billion type of cancer. And the reason why I'm most proud of that is because we used elements from Carly's life and incorporated it into the film. So there are certain scenes where the character talks directly to the camera and addresses the audience, and those were taken from Carly's blog that she left us. So it was a way to include Carly's own voice into the script, even though she's no longer here with us. We put a lot of effort into the locations and the production design and cinematography, and just really thrilled with the result. The movie's getting really good reviews and feedback from those who see it. Break as many rules as you can. It helps you stand out in the industry. For example, I mean, the one moment I can point to in my filmmaking trajectory is, I guess, the moment I decided to foolishly max out my own credit cards and make a film. I got my first feature film that way. I wasn't getting any traction. I was getting the constant rejections from our funding sources, and so the only way I was going to get to make my first movie is if I paid for it myself. So I had this script that I wanted to do called Moon Point back in 2009, 2010, and I used my own money to make it, and it was $75,000 on 2 credit cards, and it was a very foolish venture, but I ended up making the money back through a variety of sales. So it helped establish me as a feature filmmaker in this country, and went to various festivals across the globe, and was able to start my career that way. So it's a very foolish way. I don't recommend spending all that money and effort to launch your first film, but I think you're going to have to put some skin in the game if you do want to establish a career.
Moon Point?
You're pretty damn judgmental for a guy who's out here chasing some girl you knew when you were 5.
First of all, we were 11.
I forgot, you're just trying to hit a giant restart button on life.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Certainly, the actor has to show tremendous talent and charisma, but assuming everything is equal amongst the actors that come in for roles, I'd like to, if they have a noticeable talent, I'd like to engage with them and figure out what that personal connection is to the role or to the project, and why they are better than anyone else for it. So, for example, in Kiss and Cry, a young actress came in. Her name was Brittany Bristow, and she auditioned for one of Carly's sisters, Riley. And she shared a story after her audition that she just lost a close family member due to cancer, and that she was also a figure skater. So those personal connections, really shone through in Brittany's personality, and that sort of won her the role over other actors. Another young actress, Zoe Belkin, who plays one of Carly's friends, Rebecca. She came in and nailed the audition. But also shared a story of how she personally knew, the Allison family. And so I was looking for those personal connections in this very family-centric film to make it feel like we were all one sort of connected cast, even before we all assembled together. Her 2-hour elevator pitch was focused on the Carly's entire life from, birth up until, her cancer diagnosis and her journey. But ultimately, I think once we stripped that down and wrote everything out on a one-page piece of paper, the elements clicked. And those elements were, when you're a filmmaker, you have to think of how this movie is going to be marketed as well. So it can't just be a beautiful, dramatic story about an inspirational young woman. It's got to click other boxes as well. So Carly was a singer and a figure skater, and right now those are two markets that we could go after in targeting the movie when it comes out. We can reach after figure skaters and singers. She was also, she had this 1 in 3.5 billion type of cancer, and so we knew that there would be certain cancer organizations that would help support the film as well. So inherently in the story, we have all these connections and people and organizations we can outreach to in the distribution of the film. So it sort of clicked all these boxes that would help our small film reach a large audience. And that was one compelling reason why I wanted to do the film. And obviously because of Carly's remarkable story as well.
I was clearly able to see what was causing Carly's breathing problems.
I have cancer.
Well, I think, lack of planning makes long days on set. But if you have a good and a strong first AD, they will help you. Like if you do this homework in pre-production and you talk to your assistant director and say, for this certain scene, I want to spend X number of hours, they will help you schedule the film so that you can take those complex scenes and spend more time on them, and which will, by default, not allow you to go into those long days. So with Kiss and Cry, we really stuck to like a 12-hour day as much as possible, and I think we only went overtime once. And it was through that relationship with Charles Smith, my first AD, and we took the time in prep to, like I said, schedule those more complex scenes or specific shots that the director of photography and I wanted to get. We scheduled those in advance and allowed for more time for that to happen. Well, you look at a film, a film is by definition a very visual medium, so I think production design is very, I would divert a lot of funds into production design. With Kiss and Cry, like I said, we aimed for big locations. Like we were the first film crew in history to shoot at the Princess Margaret Cancer Centre in Toronto. We filmed at the Air Canada Centre in front of 18,000 people doing a scene there. So we really invested a lot in the grandness of the locations as well and the production design. It just helped the romantic quality of the film as well. If we had these big grand locations and put our beautiful actors in them, it just added to the romance of it all. So I'd say production design is one of them. And how about music? I would say when the right song comes on, when the right recognizable song comes on, I think it takes your scene and adds a whole new layer of feeling and emotion to it. And I always, every time I do a rough cut of a film, I'll always put in popular music, and I'll get so depressed when it has to come out for money reasons. But if I had extra money to spend, and a lot of it, I would invest it in music for sure. If you don't have an agent, like I'm assuming not many directors out there listening have agents. For me, my path to getting jobs is to produce them myself. So I will go into broadcasters and distributors and pitch projects that I'm attached to. And it's the only way I seem to generate a project for myself to direct. Often, if you don't like producing, then directors don't have that direct access and ability to go into a broadcaster and pitch your own project. That's what a producer does. But if you wear both hats, you can go in and confidently talk about your project, pitch it, and be able to answer budgetary questions as well as creative questions, and it just helps the broadcaster or distributor get a very accurate picture of what the project is going to be in their heads. The one thing I'm a big proponent of is I think our distribution, our theatrical chains need to support Canadian-made productions. So there's such an onslaught of big U.S. projects filling all the screens at the cineplexes around the country. And if we are able to thrive as an industry, we need those organizations, those companies, to allow a certain number of screens for Canadian content. It worked in the 80s with the CanCon music requirements, and certainly television is thriving because of those CanCon requirements, but there doesn't seem to be that government mandate at the theatrical level. And the only way our projects are going to succeed and for people around the country to have access to our stories is if those theatrical distributors give us those screens to tell our stories. So I think that's a key proponent to growing as a film culture. Well, 5 or 6 years ago, I would have said someone like Avi Federgreen and a guy and Jeff Deverett, who I work with. But now I work with them intimately all the time, and so it's kind of hard to call them mentors, but more colleagues. So I don't know. I'm trying to think of other like-minded filmmakers who have like this do-it-yourself sort of approach. Like someone like Ingrid Veninger, for example. Ingrid will, write her own projects and then raise the money, often using her own funds, and pull together family and friends and make her projects happen. And then she succeeds on like an international level. So I respect people like that who can use their creativity and little resources and make a big splash on a international scale. I think that's really inspiring. So she's someone I look up to. Kiss and Cry is currently playing at the Toronto Carlton Theatre at Young and College, and it's doing well there. We're just launching into a second week, and we're doing all these pop-up screenings, these event-style screenings, where we're bringing out the cast and myself to answer question and answer from the audience. So next we're at Peterborough in mid-March, and then we're looking to go to Ottawa and Sudbury, and I think we're screening in Ireland at the end of March as well. So we're setting up all these screenings in unique places and working with local cancer centers and figure skating clubs to help spread the news. And you can check out our website at www.kissandcrymovie.com and check out the links to all the different screenings that we have. And we hope that you come out and support our film. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised and very emotionally moved.
My motto is always smile. I don't mean be fake, but always, always find a reason to be happy. And if you can't, smile anyway. Why the heck not?